Hi. So I want to do a video talking about weak self and strong self. In a previous video, and you should have a link to it up here, we talked about essentially strong and weak, the strong and weak keywords and when you'd use those in Objective-C. So memory management, for the most part, is handled for us with the compiler in Objective-C. So the programmer, there's not a lot they have to do as far as trying to make sure that we're maintaining and managing memory, but there are some places where you have to worry about retained cycles. And that's generally where we need to use weak and strong. But in particular, when you start working with blocks, any place where you're going to make a reference to something that is going to be essentially handled in a separate thread, and then the results can be handed back to you, back onto the main thread, as an example. This is very common. For a networking task, for example, you don't want to block the main thread. So what typically happens with the different APIs is that you'll go out and you'll make a call off of the main thread, and then what happens is a background thread gets used to actually make that networking call, or let's say a database call, and then it gets the results back, but then it writes it back onto the main thread. So let's take a quick look and see how we'd use weak self and strong self in an Objective-C application. So if we take a quick look here at this application I've created, I have a weather class I've created, and it's got two methods. It's got one for printing weather, another one for calling the weather service. And if we look inside of here, I'm using the NSURL session to go out and make a call. And one of the nice features about this API is that it actually uses a block. So I'm going to assume that this print weather, we always need to make sure that that gets called, let's say, on the main thread. And so we need to be able to maintain references back to the self for this class. And so what I'm going to do is inside this method here, I'm going to type in weak, give it the weak keyword, and I'm going to say type of, and I'm going to say self, and we're going to call this weak self, and we'll set it equal to self. Now, down here, inside of the completion handler, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a reference back to the strong, or to a strong self. So I'm going to say strong, and then we'll say type of self, and we'll call this strong self, and we're going to make it equal to weak self. Now what I'm going to do is right here where I'm going to print the service, I'm going to switch self out with strong self, so it uses the strong self reference. And if I come back here into main, we can see here that I'm creating a run loop, and then I'm creating an instance of the weather, and then in that call weather service I'm passing in the run loop and starting the run loop. So I come here and run this. It just printed out the weather. And that's essentially how you can use strong self and weak self. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. Also, if you like the content here, please subscribe to this channel, and I'll have more content for you later. Thanks.